Hello, welcome back, my favorite movement enthusiasts. Today, there is one singular overpowered exercise that I want to talk about that has multiple levels. We will go through each one increasing in intensity and effectiveness. Are you struggling with touching your toes, or better yet, getting into a full pike position? Chances are it's your glutes. Maybe you're trying to get into a deep squat or a resting squat position, but you can't. Chances are it's your glutes. Maybe you're looking to learn the full pancake or straddle stretch position, but you can't. Chances are it's your glutes. Maybe you've been struggling with opening up your chest and your shoulders. Chances are, I'm joking, it's definitely not your glutes. Because not only are your glutes part of all of these exercises, but tightness in your glutes and surrounding musculature can lead to all kinds of hip and knee mobility problems that we would very much like to avoid as long as we can. You gotta consider that your gluteal musculature is basically connected to every single muscle and joint that has anything to do with hip mobility as well as knee mobility. We've got our hamstrings connected to them. We have our spinal erectors connected to them. In the front side, as antagonists, we have our hip flexors and our abdominals. So having loose glutes and stretching them out the right way can help you advance your hip mobility, your knee mobility, and much more than you could ever imagine. And there is one overpowered exercise that we can take level by level, step by step, increasing in intensity to an absurd degree, and we're gonna check it out today because it's one of the most effective, if not the most effective exercise when it comes to working on this stuff. And that, my friends, is going to be the pigeon pose. We're gonna move our left foot right in front, our right knee in one singular line, and then you can put your leg down all the way. Now you're already having a nice little stretch in your glutes, of course, but we're also opening our hips into an external rotation. We have some nice mobility in our knee as well, and this is just level number one. And you want to actively push your pelvis down by flexing your spinal erectors and your glutes and pushing down as far as you can. Level number one, done. Upright pigeon pose. Now to take this one to the second level, all we have to do is slowly and carefully put our entire weight down and just lay here. This is gonna open up our glutes even more, add even more hip mobility as well as knee mobility, and you can even move dynamically just the tiniest bit forward and backward to open up and rotate in your hip a little bit more. Now level number one and level number two were pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory, so let's move to something a little bit more advanced. We're gonna start once again in an upright pigeon pose, bring both our hands behind our head, and now we're gonna start folding forward, bringing our head all the way down to the ground, and then standing up again and pushing forward, opening our hip flexor on the other side. Now we have an insanely effective combination that works on our entire lower body. We're moving forward into a bend and we're pushing up into an extension. Forward into a bend and upright into an extension. Which means that up here we are opening our entire anterior chain and stretching it out, and then we are slowly in a controlled fashion moving down, opening our hips as well as our glutes on the other side, and then strengthening our posterior chain by pulling our upper body up all the way once more. Touch down in a controlled fashion and up all the way. Now, before we can move to the somewhat more advanced pigeon pose exercises, we will add some spinal as well as maybe thoracic rotation if you can and if you have the range of motion. So if our left leg is in the front, we're gonna grab our right arm and push it through to the left side. We wanna have our shoulder and our hand in complete contact with the ground. And now we can open up our left arm to add more and more and more spinal rotation. Turn outward as much as you can. Hold it here. Try to relax into the position. Take a couple of deep breaths. And then slowly and carefully come back up again. Take a short break and repeat once more. Arm through, shoulder and hand in full contact, and complete spinal rotation as much as we can. All right, the child's play is done. Let's get into something more serious. We have an elevated pigeon as a starting position. We're gonna bring both our hands right behind our head once more, and we're gonna push upwards, elevating our right knee from the ground before we bring it down all the way. We have some nice rotation in our hip joint, and we're switching between strengthening our glutes and stretching them out in combination with our hamstrings, of course, and outside of our quadriceps. Push up, elevate, and reverse. Bring your knee all the way down to the ground. Now with this one, you have to keep in mind, we are on the back of our foot. We want to have some nice ankle extension, and we're pushing forward from here. A nice stretch in our hip flexor, in our quadriceps on the other side, strengthening our glutes. And when we move down towards the ground, now we have the opening on the other side, as we mentioned before. Hands behind our head for some extra core activation, and so we don't cheat by helping ourselves out with our hands. Full elevation and reversal. Elevation and reversal. Now that you've seen our first advanced exercise, we can get a little bit more serious. We're gonna bring both our hands as usual behind our head because we wanna work with balance, we wanna work with our core a little bit more, and we don't wanna have our hands helping us out in any way. Starting position, exactly the same. We're gonna elevate from here, and now we're gonna work from our hip flexor and push that leg up all the way. Back into a lunging position, and slowly but surely reverse the entire movement. All the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down. We're strengthening our adductors, we're strengthening our core, we're strengthening our hip flexors, we're stretching our glutes, as well as strengthening them as well. And once again, we are on the back of our foot first, because we want to have that ankle extension as well as that added ankle mobility, and then we roll over our toes as well as putting that leg up. Leg down, back on the back of our foot, knee down, elevate first, roll over, and put that leg up again. Slowly, controlled movement in the reversal. Now you think that we're basically done here, but we have two more levels. One a little bit more advanced than this one, and one a lot more advanced. So let's check this one out because the movement is going to be a little bit longer. We have our elevated pigeon pose once more, and this time we are going to first move up, put that leg up here, and then we're gonna extend, flex your quads before you move forward once more. Nice stretch in our hip flexors, roll over your toes, and slowly in a controlled fashion, bring that leg down, and then the other knee all the way down to the ground. Elevate, extend backwards, and go through this in one complete fluid motion. Up and back, forward and down. Rolling over our toes, extending fully, flexing our quads, and reversing in one fluid movement. Fluid movement up, fluid movement down, and all the way up, and all the way down. Now for our final level, we're gonna need two elevations, a high one and a lower one, because our starting position is going to be a lot more elevated than before. And the benefit with this one is our knee doesn't have to end its range of motion at the height of the ground, but we can go even lower, pushing our knee down, opening up our glutes even more, and having our heel or our foot in the front higher than our hip flexor on the same side. Push forward. Now we have a longer range of motion in the strengthening part, and reverse. Try and go as low as you can around your back. Go into spinal flexion and switch into spinal extension. We want to bring that knee as low as possible, lower than our heel in the back and our heel in the front, higher than our hip before we move forward in a long range of motion, strengthening all of that and reversing once more. Now, this way we have taken the pigeon pose or the pigeon stretch a lot further. Basically, the furthest we can take it without adding any weight or adding a loaded stretch or loaded mobility exercise to this. Now, the benefits of these are specifically your entire lower body and even your abdominals all the way up here are going to be worked, strengthened, and stretched. If you're doing all of these levels or if you're working your way up, you're gonna benefit from all of them. And if you can add and start with the easiest one first and go through the entire progression, over time you're gonna notice your hip mobility, your knee and ankle mobility, and all of the things combined are starting to get better and better and better. With that said, I still have a couple of classes to teach, so that's all the time I've left for you today. But if you like the video and subscribe and check out other videos because we have new ones on this channel literally every single day. So until tomorrow, Captain Cairo, peace out.